This right here has the ability with a 30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
God damn, I don't want to rub my own rhubarb too much, but that was hot.
It's a nice intro. Nice intro.
That was hot. Just wait till we get Kurt's version on there. It'll be even better.
Complete with smoker's cough.
I love the logo.
I love the logo, the acronym. It's all good.
Honestly, guys, the logo, like Kurt deserves the credit for the logo. He did a lot of work behind the scenes with the artist to make sure that thing was primo.
Yeah, because I'm such a glory whore.
That's why I said it, because I knew you wouldn't.
All right, everybody, welcome to the BS podcast, session number 3.
Session.
Well, it's a good BS session, I think. With
It
some
is.
primo BSers right here.
It's a good word.
For sure.
All right, Kris. What do we got?
Who
we got with us today?
That's right. I'm missing my cue.
Yeah.
Hey, this BS session is brought to you by a list of amazing sponsors. First up, EM Precision Rifles. EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta has the tools, the knowledge, and the support you need to achieve your goals of precision rifle mastery. As skilled craftsmen and proven solution providers, EM guarantees equipment performance second to none. Consult with Shane for the build of your dreams and allow Steve to handcraft your next precision tool for an experience you will not forget. Find these gentlemen on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at emprifles.ca.
Right on. And we're also brought to you by Apex Optics. Designed in Canada, built in Japan, Apex Optics are made with premium ED glass, resulting in the best optical system money can buy. The Rival 4-32 competition rifle scope features super positive clicks, a 2-turn indicator, 0 stop, and one of the most thoroughly thought out reticles in the industry. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Find them at apexoptics.co.
And Apex has some new news. What's their news?
Their news is they finally received a shipment. So the first shipment has gone out actually today.
Mm-hmm.
They're on their way by FedEx to a bunch of happy customers. Well, soon to be happy customers.
So
they will be.
Yeah, I think it's pure later, but they're on their way.
What did I say? FedEx, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, you know, they'll get a
FedEx,
surprise.
year later, whoever.
Yeah. There's a truck that delivers stuff.
Yeah,
that's right.
There was definitely a dude on it that was driving a truck.
Yeah.
And nobody goes, hey, you weren't supposed to be. Whatever. Yeah.
I was just waiting for you to finish
It
that.
came from the wrong guy.
No, send this back. Mine is coming from FedEx. So our
Joel
shows.
Anthony.
Is he saying stuff?
Sorry. Yeah, he says, I can't wait, boys. Yeah, I'll bet.
Man, you know what? I need to apologize to Joel right now on the air because I have not got him his magazine yet. And honestly, that's a dick move. I really need to get. I'm going to ship that out tomorrow.
You know what? Look at it this way: he's got one less part to fondle and dream about and think about actually using before he gets that scope anyway. So
I don't want to be responsible for any of his fondling and dreaming, though. That's the problem.
Well, come on, it's you could wear it as a badge of honor.
Badge of honor. In the meantime, our show is also brought to you by Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com.
And call sign 66. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course with them now at callsign66.ca.
Also, Odell Engineering. Pick up a Canuck shotgun or a Bergara rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at odellengineeringltd.com.
Ribstone Gunsmithing. Craftsmanship done right. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm.
And March Scopes Canada. The Dion Optical Design line of rifle scopes has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Nisa at marchscopes.ca.
Nice.
Holy cow!
Nice
got
work.
through
boys.
that
You
one.
need- You need a show just for all your sponsors. That's awesome.
I know, right? This is the thing when you're a niche gun podcast, you have to get as many sponsors as you can. you got all the platforms are working against you right off the bat.
Well, you know, especially when you're used to working for just sandwiches and the odd Gatorade.
Well, we got all these sponsors, and we're still working for sandwiches. Only instead of Gatorade, at least we can afford Coca-Cola
Oh,
And
okay.
coffee.
and bolt action coffee.
There you go.
Right on.
So
Fellas.
we're joined tonight by Kris and Jeff, Predator World Hunting, and an awesome pair of guys and an awesome pair of shooters. And we're going to talk all about what the hell was the name of that thing? I've read it like Defiance, Anti-Social.
Yeah,
That's
the
it.
Defiance anti-social NRL hunter match. Yeah,
That's a hell of a name, hey?
yeah.
Was it as antisocial as it promises?
Well, I had to be antisocial, but
Yeah.
it's usually a really good crowd at the NRL events.
Yeah.
And,
I think there's 130 shooters, so it was big. It was sold out. Yeah,
it sold out quick. Yeah, we got in and it did sell out real quick.
yeah. I think we
Did you
registered
get
in
eggs?
February or something.
Oh,
Jeff,
geez.
did you get exiled to the island or what? You said you had to be antisocial.
No, I really. Well, we'll I guess we'll tell the story, but
I like to call it.
That's what we're here for. We're here for stories.
Yeah,
so we took some good buddies of ours. Frank Heisler was kind enough to drive, so we jumped in his truck, and Tony wanted to RO the match. Tony Fiddick, he wanted to RO the match to kind of see what it's about. So 4 of us jumped in, and we cruised to Maple Creek, stayed there overnight, and then we headed from there in the morning to Colton's match because, well, to back up a little further, I can't remember who pitched the idea to shoot the team event. We'd only shot one team event last year in Miami for the RTC match.
but we loved it. It was so much fun. So we're like, let's shoot the NRL hunter. Let's team it. Let's order barrels, get them cut the same, and let's go and do this. So,
so I started looking for the reamer I wanted for the 147 ELDM, and didn't realize that you have to wait a lifetime to get a reamer. So then I started looking to see who has this reamer in hand, and we were looking for a longer free bore, and just so happened that Mr. Redmond from Medicine Hat had one. We had ordered the barrels, and they were taking some time, but IBI finally came through and got those in. Sean chambered them up for us
in a week.
We picked them up. We were in Medicine Hat for the 22 match, brought home the barrels, and then
we had 10 days.
We had 10 days to pump enough rounds down the barrels to get velocities to stabilize, to do a load development and everything else. And I had shot the same round at an NRL hunter match back in February in Nebraska. So I kind of had a ballpark idea where we're going to start. And Kris was calling me and he says, he was way behind with work. He's busy.
And it was pouring and I couldn't get out. And like,
So we threw a load together. I said, try this powder charge, try this seeding depth, should get us close, and then we'll tune a little bit from there. And we barely had enough time to do that. So anyways, we go to Maple Creek Thursday night after work, stay overnight there, rip to Colton's range in south of Maple Creek and shoot some 300, 600, 800-ish, whatever, just to try and confirm some dope. And then from there we race to the border because we got to get the Belt
registration
by 4:00 before registration closes, or so we thought.
Yeah.
We get in there at like 3:45 in the afternoon. We got 15 minutes to spare. We register, drive over to the area, the range where they got like a zero board at 100 set up and the chronograph stage. So we do that. I shoot my ammo. He shoots his ammo. We get our power factor together. We can talk about more about that later.
Mm-hmm.
We'll know what that's about. And then, finally we get this breath of relief. It feels like we've been in an episode of The Amazing Race for the last 2 weeks trying to get all.
And you pull first spot. Let me guess.
Well, and Frank, he's driving like a madman for us trying to get there just in time. So.
And then So then we're done that. Okay, let's go check in the hotel. So we drive from there to Great Falls,
yeah.
Montana. It's been not too far. Go check in the hotel. And one of the things I usually do when I travel in the States, I don't know, is look on the internet and let's find a diners, drive-ins, and dives place. If you're going to eat on the road, you might as well get the best food, So didn't have any of those on the list for Great Falls, but the same place kept popping up on 2 or 3 different sites. So we're like, we'll go check
it out. Yeah.
And so we go to this restaurant, it's kind of like a premier burger joint. And we walk in and everybody's eating burgers. It smells great. We're looking at the menu and we each pick out a burger and the rest of the boys order fries. I do the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. I'm going to get salad. I'm going to try and keep her tight, try and keep the doctor happy, get a salad. Right. Well, we have dinner. It's all good. We leave there, stop at the, go pick up a few beers for the room, back to the room, end up going to bed. And I wake up in the morning and I don't feel good at all.
Just yakking.
Yeah. No, he didn't say anything. And we get down the day and I could tell like stuff's not right. Like he started shooting well, he started shooting good, and then later in the afternoon, like he's not saying much. He's just kind of hunkering down. Yeah,
we're walking from stage 18 all the way back around to stage 1 because we started on 11. Right. And the match director and another guy come ripping up in a 4-wheeler, and they're like, "Hey, they got boxed lunch. They got Jimmy John sandwiches and stuff, right? It's really good lunch." And they want to hand it to us, and I'm like, I'm trying not to barf. And you just drop that for us at stage 1, and he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So we go to stage 1. Thankfully, there was a group. It hadn't been backed up all day anywhere. They basically get to your stage and shoot your stage, go to the next stage, just go. And we get to that stage, and it's piled right up. There's groups. I don't know how many shooters.
It's a half-hour wait, though.
So I throw the backpack on the ground. The boys start eating their lunch. And I just trying to get some sleep. I try to have a few nibbles, and I can't even eat it. I couldn't even eat the breakfast sandwich we grabbed at Starbucks first thing in the morning. It was just right. And anyways, we finished stage 1, 2, 3, 4. I think was our last stage of that day.
And he's not looking real good at all. Like he's still shooting pretty well. It slipped off a little bit, but he's still shooting pretty well. But he's not looking too good.
So we pack up the gear in the truck. We get back to Great Falls, and the boys want to stop at Shields. They want to stop at Shields. I'm like, absolutely, go ahead. And usually I'd be in there like a dirty shirt, spending money, having a great old time at Shields. It's a huge store. It's massive. It's whatever. Anyways, I'm like, no, I'm staying in the truck. I just want to lay here and die. You guys go. Wake me up when you get back. So they come back. The door opens, and I wake up, and I notice I'm cold and wet. Like I'm sweating already. And we go back to the room. I get in the room, haul all my gear upstairs, strip down to my not skivvies, jump in the bed, covers over top me, and I'm just laying there shaking. And I feel
I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, we're going for steak. You want to go? He's like, absolutely not.
He comes in about 7 o'clock and says, "We're going for supper. You want to come?" I'm like, "No, I don't want any."
He's like, "Bring me some ginger ale, some ready-made oatmeal stuff." And
you're like, "Can I bring you some gravy?"
He comes in the room because he's next door with Frank and Tony. He doesn't want to hang out with me because I'm sick. He doesn't want to get sick. I get it. I'm totally fine with it. Yeah. He comes in and says, "We're going for dinner." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to go." He says, "Okay, well, if you need anything, let me know." I'm like, "Absolutely." And he says to me before he leaves, he says, "Well, I need you to shoot lights out tomorrow." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He says, "We're in the lead by 2 points." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" There's no way I thought we'd be anywhere close to being in the lead.
Right.
After the way I felt I had been shooting and kind of
better go have that steak after all.
Some of the mental mistakes and everything we'd made through the day and different stuff like that. And it was the first team event we shot this year, the first NRL Hunter event we've ever shot together.
That I've ever shot, period.
Yeah. So anyways, he walks out the door to go for dinner with Frank and Tony. I'm laying there in bed, and now reality's hitting me between the 4 eyes going, holy cow, I got to do something to get better here. What am I going to do? So I phoned my beautiful bride. She used to work at a pharmacy, as an assistant years and years ago. We've got 4 kids. She's nursed kids back to health, everything else. If anybody knows what to do, she's going to know what to do. So bless her heart. I call her up and tell her what's going on, tell her what I think's happened. And she says, okay, make a list. Get this, take 2 of these, take 1 of these, get some, salty this, get some ginger ale, all this stuff. Get them to get you a bowl of rice or something, anything that'll stick to your guts. I'm like, what about oatmeal? She's like, yeah,
some
that'll work.
Anusol.
Yeah.
Pepto, you name it, right? So I write all this down. I get off the phone with her. I send it to Kris. He's like, yeah, absolutely. I'll pick it up. He comes back to the room about 9:30.
Well, about 9:00. We're back. I give Jeff this stuff.
I crack open the ginger ale, have a few sips, and he goes next door with Frank and Tony again. And I try a few of these, Ripple chips for some salt. And all day through the day, I've been just trying to drink water and just to try and stay hydrated and having a hard time keep my energy up. But he finally came back in the room to go to bed.
10 o'clock, yeah.
10 o'clock. And every time I sit up, I can just feel my stomach just going like a washing machine. And
I'm literally not in the room 2 minutes.
And then all of a sudden it hit me, and I'm running to the can, close the door, and just start calling Ralph on the big white phone.
Like I hear it once, and I'm like, all right, that's good. Then I hear it twice, and I'm like, holy jeez. And I hear it the third time, I'm like, he's gonna die in there. Like, it's not good.
I don't know how long I was in there for, but it was a while, and there was probably about 6 or 7 episodes in a row.
Yeah.
Probably a good thing though. In the end, that's probably what helped you feel better the next day.
Yeah, and I was actually getting dizzy, and I actually slipped in the tub and fell back in the tub and pulled myself out of there. I grabbed a face cloth and I cleaned myself up and brushed my teeth and swished with some mouthwash. And I come out of there, and his eyes are big as saucers. He's like, "Dude, are you okay? That was epic. Like that was unbelievable." I'm like, "Well, I feel better."
He's just seeing first place slipping away.
Well, I'm just thinking, hey, like, I don't think he's coming tomorrow. Like, I don't think he's showing up.
Anyways, I went and made myself some instant oatmeal. Went down to the front desk, got some water from the lobby there, whatever, some hot water at the coffee machine. Made a instant oatmeal and had that before bed, and tried to get some sleep. And woke up in the morning and still didn't feel anywhere 100%. But even Saturday morning when we got to the range and we had all our gear out of the truck and everything, and I knew I wasn't good. And I looked at Kris and he looked at me, and we pounded fists, and I said, let's get to work.
Let's do it.
Ginger up.
So went back at it Sunday morning, finished stage 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep.
And I had to use the Jiffy Biffy one time, even before that even started. and then of course I met some really cool dudes from down in the States, Ryan and James. They were shooting this match as a team, and they won the match IRO'd in Nebraska, and they just finished like second place in Jim C's match in Iowa the week before. Like these guys have been shooting a lot, and they've been shooting well. So I knew there was going to be some really tough competition at this match. So and then after we put our stuff in the truck, I'm walking over there, and they're asking, right? Hey, did you guys drop 20 points? And I'm like, I have no idea. I can't even think straight.
Between us and fifth was only 9 points. Like it was his game.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and I'm like, I don't know. It would be close to that. So nobody knows how we've done. We're waiting for the scores to be posted. We pack up and head to the place where the banquet is and the awards and all that. And now we're sitting waiting, playing a waiting game. Like nobody knows where you're at, and kind of cruising along the prize table. And you would not believe this. And it's kind of one of the things that I've seen it twice now in Nebraska. The match director in Nebraska asked all the new shooters at the shooter safety, or whatever you want to call it, the debrief in the morning before the match started.
Right.
They ask everybody, okay, how many guys, put up show of hands, how many guys is this your first NRL Hunter match or first competition match? And how many people put up their hands? More than half?
Oh, probably for sure half.
So
really?
We've got like 50 or 60 new shooters, and these are people that wouldn't dare dip a toe in PRS race gun type series matches. But this is a totally different experience, right? They're catering to the hunting crowd now, which is, well, as you guys know, the hunting crowd is massive compared to the small little competition world of people, right? So tons of new shooters, and that happened in Nebraska. And then at this match, they did the same thing, show of hands, and again, same thing. So there's tons of tons of people coming and trying it out, and it's growing the sport. Well, that's their logo, I guess, right? To empower the sport, and doing a great job with it. And it's a ton of fun. And if you haven't done it, you got to try it. Shooting one match probably gives you more than 10 or 15 years of literally hunting experience, especially long range hunting experience. And it was a ton of fun. As bad as I was, I don't remember a lot of it, but it was.
Was that from the slip and the fall in the tub, or was that from the E. coli poisoning with your lettuce?
It's one of those things, you wait months and months and months for an event like that, and then you're there, and you just want it to, you want to be in bed because you just feel a bag of hammers.
Yeah, but I love the format. It's like you walk up and there's a sign and it says there's 2 deer facing left, shoot near to far. And that's all they tell you. You go up and you got to find range and engage these deer. And
so you have to find, like, you don't know where the targets are before.
And they're in shadows and hidden. You don't know how far, where they are. They just
that's cool.
They just kind of give you a sighting pin towards the first one, and then that's it. They don't tell you where anything else is. They say the degree of fire is in this. And you have to be within arm's length of this little flag to shoot everything. So it's up to you to kind of find range and engage this stuff. So having Jeff and I's dope the same was key. We worked out how we were going to communicate, what we were going to communicate, who was going to shoot first, how we were going to do it, how we were going to do wind calls. And Jeff's like, I'll start ranging, you get on the gun. Well, I'll start calling you ranges and dope, and you start measuring the target, try to look for mirage, look for the wind. And let me tell you, the wind is something else. We were waiting up. Oh yeah. And it's not the same as where you're standing 1,000 yards down in the bottom of a mountain. It's ripping, or it's actually going the other way. We were getting ready, and we have as a team, we have 6 minutes to shoot. But individuals have 4 minutes to shoot. And I'm reading the wind, kind of the guy before us, and he's shooting. And in 4 minutes, it went from 2 to 23 mile an hour, back down to 6, and changed direction almost, I would say over 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, Great Falls is like right in that valley in between the 2 mountain ranges, isn't it? Or is it just east of that valley?
Well, where the match was in Belt is southeast of Great Falls, a half an hour. So we're basically in the mountains, or more than just the foothills.
Northeast.
Yeah, it's in like that first set of mountain ranges as you're going into western Montana, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you're probably just getting wind whipping off of the mountains anyway.
All right, coming over and ripping, and that's the tough part. Was I would shoot and I would give Jeff my wind call, and I might have cleaned it, and then he's either slipping off the pro or amateur side, and it's gusting. We did this one where there was a long, and I shot it really well. Give Jeff my wind calls, and the wind just started whipping, and he's holding, and all of a sudden, boom! Like it's slipping off, and the wind dies, and he's slipping off the pro side or missing the amateur side. I just happened to have consistent wind while I was going out, and it just totally wrecked him.
Now, before we answer this question from Chad, what distances do they have you shooting out to?
This one was 300 to 1,000.
300 to 1,000.
Majority was looking at all these numbers. I basically after every stage I'd write what I had for ranges down. Yeah, and probably average was 500 to 600.
Sure.
For the most part, there was a lot of 5, 6, 7, 8s.
Yeah.
There was a few 9s sprinkled in there. 1,000. Nothing shorter than 400. I don't think.
No, if there was, it was 400. Was
and then how big were the targets?
Yeah. Well, what we were measuring, they figure about like around 12 inches, because it would be the cutout of a deer, but it would be like a deer head and the little bit of the vitals,
kind of like the torso,
or the sheep that were out there would kind of be a half sheep but scaled down.
Yeah.
So they were sporty targets,
but they were all animal shaped.
They were all animal shaped.
It wasn't just a square or a circle or stuff like that. So that was cool.
The antelope were tough. The antelope were small.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So sounds like something we need to start up here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Well, you had something like that at your place for 22, a find it, range it, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so you go up and you're problem solving, obviously trying to figure out, what positions you can shoot and
So obviously a hit's a hit, but were the targets shaped so that like you were kind of going towards aiming for the vitals on the target sort of thing, or
center mass?
Yeah, you're trying to go for center mass. A lot of them were cut off about midline, so you wanted to favor the front shoulder because that was the middle of the target, not behind the shoulder. You wanted to favor the center of the target, which was across the chest to right in the front shoulder.
So there's no benefits, there's no scoring system or anything that gives you a better score the closer you hit to the sweet spot or anything like that.
Just first round impact is 2 points, second round impact is 1 point, and then you have to abandon it. So then you get the 0. So the way it works is there's enough to shoot 4 times per teammate. So the max points you can get is 8 points per individual, 16 per team. So that a clean is 16 for a team. That's a first round impact on each 4 of your shots. And you both do it.
Yeah. First round impact, 2 points, and then second round impact, 1 point, like you said, and hit or miss, you move on to the next target.
And then is it timed on top of that?
Yeah.
So you'd come up, you'd be at the staging area, and there would be a sign like Kris said, and it would just tell you a picture of an animal, and it would be a picture of the antelope, let's say, and it would say 4 antelope facing right.
Shoot left to right or something like that.
Shoot them left to right or shoot them near to far or something like that. And they didn't really trick you up too much at this one. At other ones, the other one in Nebraska, Chaz, he would say, coyotes facing left, and you get up there and there was coyotes all over the place, but there was a bunch of them facing right, so those aren't your targets, right? Or stuff like that. But, they didn't really do too much stuff, didn't do too much of that to trick you up. It was, but some of them are hiding in the shadows under trees, so I ran those SIG 3K binos. They were phenomenal as far as being able to find targets, get your range, and being able to talk to the kestrel and pump you your elevations and even your wind. If you put it into the kestrel, it'll even tell you your wind holds. But we were doing most of that kind of on the fly and on their own. We were trying to figure it out. And to be perfectly honest, when I took the Tacticams with me, I wanted to record kind of our workflow and see what we're doing as a team, and because I know there's things we need to be better at, and when you watch it, you go, oh, look at that, we could do this different, do that different. Kind of you kind of think when you're doing it, you think you're doing something, but you may not be actually doing that, or doing something a little different than you're actually doing. If that makes sense. So we'll record that, and we'll give you a couple little snips there in a bit of a couple stages to kind of give you an idea. But
and props to Jeff, because he would take time, set down the Tacticam, then get behind it, and he's running the FTS. And I didn't know till really the end of the night or end of the day one. I get up and he's like, oh, I didn't see where I was missing. I'm like, were you not be able to spot your impacts? And I could see mine all the time. And then he's got this hematobe on his head. And I'm like, what's going on? He said, well, the Tacticam's been smashing me in the head all day. I'm like, no, you can't see your impacts. Take that thing off for day 2. We got to shoot lights out, So he didn't even smashing him in the head.
Yeah, I had a little scope by from that. I made the mistake. Well, it was last minute. Then you got me a pre-production unit sent out. I threw it on Thursday, zeroed it, leveled it, zeroed it, and got the Tacticam on. The mistake I made with those Tacticams is that if you set it up bench, that's different than when you're laying down the gun behind your prone. So whenever I was shooting prone, I was getting beat in the face by the gun every time.
It just takes your mind off your guts.
Yeah. Maybe it was helpful. He couldn't see, but it took his mind off how much his guts hurt. Maybe.
So
nothing helps with food poisoning like a concussion.
Lesson learned. We won't do stuff like that last minute anymore before a big match. But So, and then on the target side of things, there'll be either one target on a stage, or 2 targets or 4 targets.
Okay.
And if there's 1 target, you got to build
4
and break
positions.
4 different positions. If there's
Okay.
2 targets, you got to build and break 2 different positions. And then if there's 4 targets, you're shooting from 1 position, or I've even seen
they say 1 position, 4 targets, but a lot of times you can't see target 3 and 4 or something, and you still have to move.
Maybe you pick prone, thinking you'll be able to, and you can shoot target 1 and 2, but you can't. The way they've set the targets up, you can't literally shoot 3 and 4.
You got to stand and shoot off a tree.
To get up and shoot off a tree, or set up a tripod, or whatever, right? So
that's awesome.
But that was that's basically the format, and tons of fun.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into that video that we've got queued up.
Well, let's
shooting. But however, before that, let's answer this question. So Chad Gerard is asking, how do those new Apex scopes work? A little bit of I guess opinion on those scopes, how they work for you.
Did you both have one?
No, I didn't. I had one earlier, but I went back and I swapped it out just because I couldn't see really well for whatever reason. I couldn't see, so I swapped out mine, and
both of them have been the pre-production. First one was a Gen 1. This one was a Gen 2 pre-production, and obviously ran them all the way out to 1,000 yards in this one. The one in Nebraska, we had targets, I think, out to 1,400. There has been no issues with tracking on these things. The parallax has been working good for me as far as being focused, and the clicks on the turrets have been the way they did the lines on the turrets between, like, let's just say 0 and 1, and it kind of it's a peak almost. If I don't know if you got a picture of it on there, but it makes it very easy to find, where 3.4 is, or where 3.7 is, or to get there is super quick, super positive. So that was no issue. Like, obviously with the Tacticam being on there, it's kind of like, in a way, it's almost like looking through a Coke bottle.
It is, yeah. Yeah, that's what I noticed about mine too.
Yeah, so it doesn't do a lot of it doesn't do good service to the scope, really, having that on there. But kind of, I wanted to use it again for training purposes for me, because how well am I seeing my bullet? How well am I seeing where on that target I'm hitting that target to make my correction on my next shot or on the next target. If I'm hitting right edge, I want to, or left edge, or different things like that. So,
so that clear top half of the window there must be nice for spot and trace and that, hey?
Yeah. Once on Sunday, when the Tacticam wasn't beating me in the face, and as long as you're running the gun properly and you got it in your shoulder, like with any scope, now being able to see your own trace becomes a lot of fun. Yeah. And when you're seeing your bullet, and when you're seeing your hits and your misses, and I got to give a lot of credit to the APA brakes we're running, the Gen 3 Fat Bastards. They are awesome. And as you'll see when we get to that world exclusive video, you're going to treat your watchers to here, listeners. We got some CLR footage of one stage we're going to treat you to, and you'll see how effective that brake is, and how much that vertical isn't, how much you're not losing it, and being able to watch your hits and everything. And so far, I've used scopes that are worth 2.5 times as much of this. We obviously know a lot of people with a lot of good gear, and we get to look at and touch and feel all these things. And for the folks that are getting into the sport and want a really good piece of gear for the value,
really good value.
The front focal plane, mill.
The CLR reticle is phenomenal.
The reticle's super easy to use, super fast.
Nice.
It's and then a lot of the little things that come in the box with it. You get the sunshade with it. With most places, you got to buy that extra. It's another $75 or $100. The throw lever comes with it. Usually, that's another $75 or $100. So you get all these extra value-added things in that price, and get people into the game for a reasonable amount of money, and get a product that that is, pretty close as far as glass quality. I mean, it's ED apochromatic glass, boys. It doesn't. It's good glass, and I've used it twice in matches, and I can't wait to use it again in match. It's quick. It's really good.
And looking through Jeff's pre-prod, like it was clear. Everything was great. Like it was nice to use. It zoomed out, zoomed in real well. Like it was just natural. It felt good, and it was and it obviously tracked. It tracked perfectly because we shot it all weekend, dialed up, dialed down, and it
with rushed load development and data confirmation.
Yeah. Well, I packed the little laminator I have at home in the suitcase, and we literally wrote out dope cards after.
Well, you can't pre-write them out because now we're going to 5,600 feet from 1,800 feet, and we're gaining BC. Like the bullets are going a little bit faster.
Sure.
They're flying a little bit better in the mountains. And so my blood was not flowing a little bit faster. I was feeling pretty climbing up some of the hills. I'm like, I'm in shape, but this is like something. My muscles feel starved at the end of the day. I didn't feel good.
Yeah,
it's funny.
But we did have hard hope on the arms as backup.
Yeah.
In case the rangefinder. Obviously, if the rangefinder goes down, I had my Leica as a backup. We got some 8Ks coming out. We won some 8Ks, boys. So
yeah,
that's
we
awesome.
won some 8Ks.
We're going to be running these for PRS and as backups on for these type of matches in case the binos go down or something crazy, right?
Right.
But because if you don't have a rangefinder in this game,
you got it. Like
you literally have no chance.
You could guys can range really good using a reticle, but I don't think you can range using a reticle that fast.
Oh, not in that time. No. Right on.
Well, Carly apparently can't wait to see your video, so let's get this going here.
And pay attention toward the end, boys and girls. You'll see that CLR reticle.
Oh, sorry. Hang on a second. How do I? There's what I'm looking for. I'm having troubles. So feel free to add any commentary you guys want to this here.
Yeah, you bet. This was stage 13, and would be our third stage of the day that we had shot. We got 2 deer, 2 positions, and I'm trying to use visually looking down range, trying to see. In front of us, there's 2 pieces of wood that are painted orange that are lined up, and if you line those up, it should steer you towards the first target. And then after that, the other target can be anywhere. You got to find them. So
at this point, you're just trying to find the target.
We're just trying to find targets.
We're literally trying to find 2 targets right now, two deer-shaped torsos. And you're supposed to keep the communication down so that people way back in the staging area.
Right here, you're supposed to hunt. You're supposed to do it in a hunting voice. They could actually DQ your stage if you're yelling at each other.
Oh, really? Oh man, I'd be screwed.
Oh, I know. I'm a pretty loud guy, and I was worried about that.
So,
there it is.
Kris has already got a visual with the binos on his target field, and you picked out some reference points and where he's going to line up his gun for target 1. I'm getting the ranges. And he's setting up his shooting position, getting his mag loaded up, and getting ready, waiting for dope.
He's giving me dope there. I'm writing it down.
Target 2, okay. 3.4, 3.8. I got some wind off the left. Okay.
Talking about wind, a lot of times I was getting Kris to bracket, using the reticle to bracket the target size to tell me if the target's 4/10 wide, 6/10 wide, how wide their target, so we know what kind of wind budget we might have. Trying to look at, obviously feeling the wind where we are, but it's completely different down there. So looking for mirage or any kind of indication of what the wind's doing down there.
Right. When I was watching this earlier, I see your flag tape going the opposite way of your wind call.
Yeah.
So Kris makes a really good first round impact there. He kind of hit closer on the one side, so I gave him a little bit of a correction, and he dialed the second target and puts a good shot down range on this one and hits first round impact on it as well.
See a good representation of the gust there, hey?
Yeah, and could you see it when we started? It was whipping the other way.
Yeah, and he's got to run quite a ways up to the next firing position. Of course, he didn't move the camera, so That's all we got for you there. But this was a stage 16, also a deer target, but there was only one of them. This one we got to pick 4 different positions.
Well, there was actually 2.
Sorry, 2 deer.
But you're only supposed to shoot one of them.
Okay. So
Oh, you just take your pick, or
No.
There was one deer, but they had a spare target right beside it that was a backup target in case the first target goes down, so they don't have to go all the way out there and fix target. Great idea.
But you can ask the ROs yes or no question. So then I'm like, I see 2 deer, and I'm like, am I to shoot the left deer? She's like, exactly. They wouldn't tell you which one to shoot. You had to ask and confirm.
Sure, yeah.
Oh my God.
So they got us in this tangled mess of this fallen tree, and there's stuff in front of you they can't see in the tacticam. So you're trying to pick little portholes through this tree where you are, so you can see and shoot the target where it's not going to deflect your bullet off into nowhere else. So we've got the range. Now it's just a matter of figuring out what the wind's doing. It was fairly close to what it was the last stage, fairly close to the same shooting direction. So,
geez, it sounds like there's a lot of stages going on at one time, hey?
Oh yeah, it's a big circle. You walk on kind of this big circle and then up the ridge. So there's lots of shooting going on.
Right. Made a really good shot on the first one, and these ones were at 418, I think.
418, yeah.
And he was able to pick another spot through a little hole in this tree, and I'm still trying to spot for him to watch his bullet and see if we can pick up on any wind down range. And he makes another really good first down hit, and then he decides to go up on the tree, and he's calling for the rear tripod. So now my job here is just to do whatever he needs to get him stable.
Sure. So you have to shoot a different position every time, but you get to choose whatever position you want.
That's right. So I would have been wiser to make the tripod longer here to get that tack table away from his head on the next one. You'll see. A lot of guys when they're pulling the tripod, Kurt, they're basically on one leg of the tripod instead of both. So I'm holding the tripod down to give him as much stability as possible, and then help him move his bag and get him up in another position. And now I know my tripod's too short for him to really use this well, and I'm looking at that. He's going to bang his head on the tack table, so I'm like, I better get that out of the way. Hang on here. Of course, he might not even know this is going on.
I didn't even know it was going on.
Because I'm watching him, I'm thinking, okay, what would I want somebody to do for me if I was one on the gun?
Yep.
Right now? So
for sure.
Now I'm looking at my gun because I want to get on it. We're running short on time here.
So I'm just going to mention real quick for our audio listeners, if you're listening to all this on audio, the guys are doing a really good job of describing what's going on right now, but this is something that you should see. So if you normally listen to us on audio, just go to our YouTube page, and even if you just watch this section in video, it's worth watching.
So then now I'm on the gun, and I don't know if Kris is on glass. I've asked him if the dope worked good, and he said yeah. And the wind call, I'm going to take the same wind call he did and try it, which screwed me on other stages, but worked well here. And got a first round hit there, and now going to the second position. And
now remind me.
I managed to find a third spot through this tree where I could get a bullet to go through the branches and everything. And
make sure you clear the tree.
Kris is worried about me hitting the tree. He knows that's tight. He knows that's really tight. And he's worried about me hitting that tree, but I'm getting greedy. I'm thinking I can get a No, there was no way.
So was there a minimum distance you had to move or anything like that?
Yeah, you have to. I think depends on. It was different on the stage. Some of them you had some of them they said 12 inches or on either side of the flag. Sometimes they told you, and sometimes you could ask if moving this much was good or not. You know?
Okay. So I'd ask the RO. I'd move and I asked the RO, "Am I good here?" And he'd go, "Yep." I'm like, "Okay." I'm doing it. If they say no, you got to move, then you move, right?
And the key thing too is when they start the time, I was starting my watch timer. And
okay, so
here we go.
First round impact on an antelope, and then
heavy mountain breathing going on there.
Yeah. There's another one that's in there.
That's just the food poisoning.
I'm trying not to bust my brains out.
And they hit that one kind of in the shadow, so you couldn't see it hardly.
Right.
10-4.
And I'm telling him you got
1, 2, 3.
I said you got a minute and 2 seconds. All done.
Watch this wind change.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Mr. Mayheim.
Good follow up.
Yeah. So that was shooting. Jeff only missed there, so he got 7 out of 8 on that. And there's the mountains, and you're kind of shooting down into the meadows and through those trees, and the wind is just ripping. So it was a lot of fun.
That is beautiful country.
It's gorgeous.
It was gorgeous. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm super glad we made the trip.
Mm-hmm.
So Spudman wants to know. I wanted to know too. Let's talk about what you guys were using. So Spudman wants to start this off by asking you what caliber you guys were shooting.
We chose to shoot 6.5 Creedmoor just because we were trying to save a few bucks. I already had the dies, and I was already shooting 6.5 in PRS before and in the NRL Hunter match previously. So looking back in hindsight now, you as a team, when you can spot for each other and maybe shoot something a little heavier and faster, like a 6.5 Rooster or a 6.5 PRC would be
6.5 Psalm,
something to shoot get a little bit more ballistic fishing gun and stuff like that would be good. But the 6.5 served us well. Yeah. And when it came down to it, like Kris mentioned earlier, at the end of 18 stages, it came down to a tie. We were tied with another team at 208 points, and we were lucky enough that our power factor was a little higher than their factor, which gave us the win.
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
No, it came down to power factor, and then the guys from North Dakota that are really good shooters, and they were 2 points, or they were few more than 2 points behind us. I think after day one, they were only 2 points behind us at the end of day two. So it was tight. But like you have to basically shoot a 6.5 or bigger because there isn't a 6 mil out there weighted heavy enough that you can stay under 3,200. That they made it impossible for a 6 mil to make power factor.
Yeah. So
really,
you got to take your bullet weight,
yep,
multiply that by your muzzle velocity, and whatever that number is, that's your power factor. You need a minimum of 380,000 to meet minimum power factor. And
that's an interesting criteria. Hey, it makes sense for a hunting based match.
Yeah. So the guys that are shooting the 300 Win Mag that are getting pounded all day against the guy that's shooting a light 6.5, he's got a
tougher time.
Comes to a tie, give him the trophy because he's way more of a man than me for shooting.
And I think there was a guy shooting 300 Norma there, and it was pounding. You could hear it go off and smoking steel.
What's your weight limit?
Where 300 Norma has a almost a higher power factor than the team power factor combined.
So there's four classes. There's junior, and then there's junior. There's factory, so you can shoot factory rifles, and they got to be less than 12 pounds.
Okay.
12 pounds or less. Then there's open light, which is custom rifles, but 12 pounds or less. And then there's open heavy, that's custom rifles, 16 pounds or less. And if you're shooting team, you can shoot team in open heavy. So Jeff and I shot open heavy team, which is 16 pounds or less. And when I laid my gun on the scale, I was 16 flat.
Is that right?
I was like, do I have to take some screws off the butt pad? I was gonna be like, there was something in there that I was gonna. Oh, the chamber flag was in there. I'm like, can I take the chamber flag out to make weight? But in there, she's like, take it off. You made it. I'm like, yeah, awesome.
You start scraping paint off.
So you're still using these aren't super light rifles still. Even in the light class, you said 12 pounds, right?
Yeah.
That's with scope, sling, bipod on.
Yeah.
Everything but your magazine and ammo counts in the total weight. And you can't take stuff on or off. Whatever you start the match.
They give you snap ties specifically for the color that you got to wrap around your scope, wrap around your bipod, and wrap around your chassis. So to show what class you're in and what you weighed in at, and that was the gear.
So I even so, we're not using like light, like grandpa's hunting rifle sort of stuff. People are still using like precision rifle. Well, not quite precision rifles, but
there was guys shooting Savages. There was guys shooting Tikas.
There was, hey?
Yep.
Like a factory rifle, literally off the
shelf.
That's the nice thing about this. You can go to you can go to the store down the street. You can buy yourself a Tika off the shelf, put on an Apex rifle on it, go and shoot this match. It's you don't need the high end race gun to get into it and shoot it. You can if you
and there's also a skills category, so you can go and not count your score, and there's a skills category, and you can bring whatever the hell you want and shoot the course. It just doesn't count towards it. Those points just don't count towards anything. And you can come shoot the course. You can bring a 6mm. You can bring a 22. You can bring a gun that's 24 pounds, but you just won't qualify for one of those. You can shoot skills.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Is all the shooting done supported in one way or another? Like, is there an offhand stage or anything like that?
No, there wasn't anything at this match for that. There was. Okay. We had to shoot off logs, off tree branches. We used the tripods when we could. We used the triple poles a few times, long and with rear support. We, quite a bit of prone, all kinds of different stuff. But there wasn't any gimmicky PRS type barricade stuff, if you will. It was all natural, rocks.
There's nothing else there. They say, okay, now one of the positions is you got to shoot off the top of this rock, or one of these things is they force you to use the tree branches on either side of the tree because you can't see them down low. So you lay your bag on a tree branch close to the tree, move to the other side of the tree, and then different branches. So it's all natural terrain and what you would encounter in a hunting scenario.
Oh, that sounds cool. Like a dreamy range.
It's so fun.
I got to back you up just for a quick second here, Jeff, because we missed Carly's very, very important question. What model of laminator do you have? She's asking for a friend. I use a Staples brand myself.
Again, I'd have to refer to my beautiful bride. I don't know. She has quite the supply of paper and stationery downstairs. I honestly don't know.
I saw you it was like 1999. The sticker was still on it, and he's got them folded. He's like, "Hey, grab the other side so it pulls through nice." And
that's funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But it's a blast. Like, I really enjoy the format. It's as close to kind of the hunting scenario. Like, Jeff and I, because we hunted so much and watching coyotes and doing this. The spotting the targets can be really tough for someone. Yeah. But we didn't really didn't have too much trouble spotting targets. That wasn't where we kind of fell down. We fell down with wind calls and time management. I burned Jeff on 2-stage where I'm like, I get off the stage and normally in the 6 minutes, I'd like to give Jeff at least 1:30 to get his 4 shots off, just to be a nice guy. I think it was the second stage I get off. I'm like, 32 seconds, start sending them.
No.
Like, on 2-stage, I burnt him bad on 2-stage. He did pull me on 1, but he got me back on 1, but I burnt him bad on 2 stages.
So do stage times vary with the stage?
6 times. 6 minutes at a time. Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. That's why I could start my clock. And then when we get on there, like lots of times, Jeff would send 1 or send 2, and I'd look down, like, Jeff, you got 1:20, lots of time. And he'd take a breath, take his time, and hit it. So it was good.
That's pretty important. Yeah.
So does time matter in the case of a tiebreaker in terms of points, or is it only the power factor?
It's only the power factor.
No, that's only in a PRS type skill stage where they use a time on the time and points on a stage for.
Yeah. And the guys that finished second, they were running 6.5 creeds as well, just lighter bullets, a little bit slower.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did they end up with the same score?
They ended up with the same score, 208 points. We just won on power factor.
Wow. Holy shit, hey?
And the one guy that was our own, he told us they were Green Beret special ops snipers. So I'm like, all right, if you say so.
Okay,
but
they were double upset.
They were super nice guys, and they looked super fit. Like, this course wasn't a problem for them.
Yeah, they were telling us, or somebody told us, that these guys flew in specifically for this match to win it, to qualify for the big finale at the end of the year, I guess. But
so they didn't qualify then?
Well, you still could qualify I don't know exactly how it goes.
They'll get high 90s for second place points, and we have no idea how who qualifies and how you
roll out.
I think we qualify because you can shoot as many matches as you want. They just take your best match, but I don't know if teams qualify. We'll have to figure it all out. Anyway, the Grand Slam finale is in Idaho in August, so I think we qualify, but we got to double check. And if we do, then we'll probably make a trip to Idaho.
If it happens, it'd be awesome, but we'll see.
That would be great. So you're shooting those 147 ELDMs, both of you?
Yes, sir.
And velocities, what are you getting?
Mine chronographed at 2750 when we were in Montana, in belt at elevation. His averaged at 2740.
Yep.
But there was an outlier there because you only shoot 3.
Yeah.
And he had one outlier there that was low. It was 2730, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, and it brought the average down.
It brought the average down when you're only shooting 3. It doesn't take much to drop that average, right?
No.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But
we checked him when we got back, and we were only 3 feet difference.
Yeah. Monday night we got back, and we went to go get some photos with the trophies because as soon as the banquet was over, we hauled ass out of the banquet hall because we got to hit the border before 5:00 before they close. Yeah. And again, it was the Amazing Race episode 2. We're racing for the border to get back home. Otherwise,
15 minutes before the border closed. Otherwise, it's going to be a detour.
Did you guys cross up at Coots or?
No, Willow Creek.
Willow Creek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, we'll have to get your recipe from you just as a starting point for Chris's 6.5 Creedmoor, because we've got we have 147 ELDMs for that.
You bet.
We got to get him rolling to get down to Medicine Hat to the Cactus Cup there on June 4th.
Well, yeah, you're only a couple hours away. We'll come help you out.
We'll come help you.
I should probably shoot that gun once or twice before we
probably
go to the competition.
We'll be at the Cactus Cup too.
Excellent.
Beauty.
Right on. All right.
Well, I think we're kind of.
Sorry, we kind of ate up your whole time.
No, that's good.
That's why you're here, man.
we had a whole bunch of stuff that we were thinking that we were going to mostly just bitch and complain about with what's been going on in the world for the last couple of weeks. But your guys' stuff was much more interesting, so I figured we just stick with that. I had a couple of people message me and ask me how my finger was, so I guess I'll give everybody an update on that. JR was more concerned about my herpes. I didn't know I had herpes, but apparently so I've tried to describe this thing to multiple people over the
You're talking about your finger or your herpes?
No, the finger. We're back on the finger now.
Okay, keep up. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow.
So that I think that this thing is like an old-timey vinyl cutter, but I don't know for sure. I know it's cast iron. I know it weighed about 25, 30 pounds. And I know that the blade was kind of on the underside of it, and I didn't see it. And I went to pick it up and move it over and put it on top of a box, basically. So I'm wearing gloves. I picked this thing up, and it's pissing rain, and it's cold. Is like, I think it was like 3 degrees and like rain and windstorm. And our soft shell garage had just been blown right over top of our fence into the alleyway. So we had just got done like taking that thing half apart and dragging it back into the yard and all this kind of stuff. And then I'm just trying to weigh the tarp down. I'm like, well, this thing looks heavy. So I reach down, I pick it up. And as I pick it up, I notice nothing. I just picked it up. And then I changed direction a bit to move it forward. And I feel, I want to say I heard, but I'm more like I feel kind of like a grinding, crunching sound. And I'm like, well, that sounds weird, but I still don't feel anything. And I put the thing down, and then I kind of turn around to look for something else heavy to put on top of this tarp. And I feel like my finger is cold. And I'm like, well, what the hell? So I look at my finger, and like both the glove.
Sticky.
Yeah, well, I wasn't touching anything, and it was raining on it, so it was keeping it from being sticky.
Oh.
But I turn around, and both the glove and my finger are splayed right open, and like I'm just bleeding profusely everywhere. So I'm like, what's that?
Trigger finger?
Thankfully, no, it's my middle finger here.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I I'm putting pressure on it immediately, and then my wife's driving me to the hospital and all this kind of stuff. But I looked at the thing at first. I was like, what the hell could this even happen? And then I see the blade on it. And thankfully, if I'm looking for a silver lining, if this thing actually is a vinyl cutter, you can imagine the blade has to be very sharp because you got to cut the vinyl cleanly. And I think that's probably the one thing that saved me. That's why it went right down to the bone. That grinding sound or that grinding feeling, that was the blade scraping on the bone on my finger.
Making my leg tingle just talking about it.
I know, right? I won't show you the photos.
Yeah.
So it went like right through the joint capsule, like the ligament of the joint capsule, and then like scraped on the bone a little bit. But it was a very clean cut, thankfully. And that's why I didn't feel anything.
How many stitches did you end up with it?
Only 3 stitches. Like the deep part, I don't know if you guys can see good enough on there or not, but the deep part is, you can see the cut is longer than where the stitches are.
Right.
And it's a little bit on the side of the knuckle, which is a good thing. I think it went really deep when I went to push it forward. So it kind of went on the side of the knuckle. Because if it had cut that deep on the flat of the finger here, for sure it would have severed the tendon in half, and I would have needed to have surgery. Otherwise I wouldn't have been able to bend my finger anymore. So I got a little bit lucky in that regard. But I basically get there and I'm holding pressure on my finger, and it's 3 hours in the ER. Before they even see me. And frankly, they were doing a pretty good job with the triage, because they were just like waiting out the people who were very, very obviously there just looking for drugs. And so like there's the 3 hours that I was there were probably like 5 or 6 people that just got tired of waiting, that that they were there just to try to get some sort of drug or another. And they just they ended up leaving. So I got bumped up in the queue, I guess. So of course, I'm holding pressure on this thing for 3 hours, because every time I take pressure off, it starts bleeding again. And my friggin' hand was so cramped up by the time they finally saw me. I was just, at points, I was basically just like, I kind of put my hand over top my other hand and then leaned on it, just to put my body weight on it to stop it. And 3 hours later, it was still bleeding. And I am 42 years old next week. And this is the first time I have ever had stitches in my life.
You need to get out in the outdoors more.
Well, you know what? I've broken and torn and just about everything else in my life, but I have thankfully avoided lacerations that needed stitches. I got scars.
I have not.
I've cut myself. I've cut myself a million times. They've just never needed stitches. And like I got like most of them are like puncture wounds and stuff. They just weren't big enough to put stitches on. But anyway, so my first time getting stitches, and of course it's right on the knuckle. And I'll tell you, when she put the needle in, and like, so first she's like, okay, so we're just going to freeze this. And I go, okay, I just have to know before we do this. Do you freeze around the wound, or do you stick the needle in the wound? And she goes, well, I got to stick the needle in the wound. And I was like, cool. All right, let's get this done. So I'm sitting there, and this is like this resident doctor that did the stitching. She was like 5'2" and 95 pounds, just this tiny little blonde. And I'm like, I can't cry in front of this little tiny person. Like, this can't happen. So I got to sit there, and she's sticking this bloody needle into my knuckle. And thankfully it went numb pretty quick. And some of it was already numb. I still can't feel any of this here. So I cut the nerve on that part anyway, but I don't ever want to have a knuckle frozen with again.
You mean to tell me all the martial arts and stuff you do, you've never took a foot or anything or a hand to the face and had to get a stitch?
You know what, Jeff? I'm not going to say that I'm good at what I do, but I have never been knocked out in any of my fights. I've never been knocked out.
Who can kick to the top of his 7'7" head?
Right.
You want
to kick him when he's down. That's the key.
Funny you say that. My very first kickboxing fight was against a guy that was only 1 inch shorter than me and about 6 pounds heavier. So he could have reached me, but thankfully he didn't. But Yeah, I've always just avoided it. I've broken my nose multiple times. Like I've had to have surgery on my nose. I guess I've had stitches in there, but that's different. I was unconscious for it. You know, I've broken multiple bones, more ligament tears. I got arthritis in my wrists and my hips, but lacerations I've just avoided.
And I've had stitches in my gums even.
Yeah. I've had my head stitched up so much. And
Yep.
hands and arms, like this stitched hundreds.
I think I just
Fighting,
have elastic skin or something.
I think I was that happy little special needs kid running around and just banging into things all the time. Yeah.
Well, while you guys were out playing with blades all the time, I just let people punch me. That's blunt force trauma. That's a little different.
Yeah.
So anyway, it seems to be healing pretty good. I think in the next 2 or 3 days I'll have the stitches out and then it'll be good to go. So
Right on.
yeah.
Doug Rodenbush, he goes, nah, you're all slackers.
Well, in fairness, Doug's had a few more years on all of us to
Yes,
rack up
this is
those.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Ya is Jens says that Tony Ya is going to kick is the only guy who to kick my. You know, Tony Ya is like 5'4", right?
No idea.
He's just a tiny little Thai guy. The problem is people don't even try to kick me in the head. They just try to kick me in the legs. They take the lumberjack approach.
Right.
Yeah.
Chop them down.
Yeah, that works pretty good. Anyway,
Okay.
so there's that update. I got a question for everybody. This is a little bit off of the gun topic, but I got a question for everybody out there. If anybody has ever seen or done a manual swap on a mid 90s or like a GMT 400 model Chevy 1500 with an American powertrain or a Tremec manual transmission, either the 5-speed or the 6-speed, email us at info@bspodcast.ca because I'm interested to know how it went. Because my automatic is kind of on its last legs, and I really would like to put a manual in there.
I tried to tell them, folks, get a different truck.
No, I like that truck. I've put a lot of money into that truck already.
This coming from a guy who took an 87 Toyota 2-wheel drive and converted it to 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, that sounds dumb.
But you should see the way it turned out.
Yeah. Oh, but it looked good.
It does. All right,
So,
guys.
I got one last thing before we go.
Yeah.
And this is just shameless plug. I'm wondering if anybody out there in gun shooting land is interested in diversifying their skills in terms of self-defense and preparedness. And the reason I'm asking is there's two things that are going to be going on in the next little while. The first one is a combat camp in Minot, North Dakota. It's going to be 2 days. The first day is going to be focused on basic pistol and rifle training. It's going to be taught by NRA certified instructors, just going to be the basic stuff. And for most of the shooters out there, the shooting part is probably not going to be the big draw for this. The big draw will be the second day where they're doing empty hand and blade defense, and they're going to be using shock knives. And you guys know what shock knives are?
No.
It's basically a training knife, like a plastic training knife, but it has like a metal conductive edge along it instead of an actual blade. Yeah, it's like a little mini taser, so that if you fuck up, you know that you got cut because it shocks you. It's a really good training tool. So it's going to be doing empty hand and bladed weapon self-defense training. And if anybody would like to get in on that, then again, send us an email to info@bspodcast.ca, and I'll help you guys get registered for that, because I think it's going to be a really good time. And it's primarily centered around martial artists. And I think for the martial artists, the big draw is going to be day one where they're doing the gun stuff. I think for shooters, it's going to be very valuable, but day two is what's going to be most valuable for shooters. So hit us up. And other than that, there's a new course that I'm starting through my day job. It's going to start. It's going to run. It's a 4-month course. It's going to run from February to May of 2023. We're calling it the Warrior in the Garden course. The idea is the phrase. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this before, but the phrase goes: "It's in a crisis. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war." And so that's what it's kind of where the name comes from. And it's going to be focused on basically self-reliance and self-preparedness skills. So we're going to be partnering with a wilderness survival company, and they're going to be teaching winter survival, centered around the idea of like, what if your car goes off the road in the middle of a Saskatchewan winter storm? Would you be able to survive the night in your car? Do you have an emergency winter road kit? Do you know what to put in it? Do you know how your winter kit should differ from your summer kit and what should go in that? If you come across an accident and you see somebody with a bleed, would you know what to do and how to stop that bleed? Do you know how that treating that bleed is going to be different in the winter versus in the summer? So we're going to be going through all of that stuff. That's kind of going to be the first prong of the course. Second prong of the course is going to be all focused on self-defense. It's going to focus on, empty hand self-defense, blade weapon self-defense, blunt weapon self-defense, as well as the non-physical aspects of self-defense, awareness, they call it verbal judo, like de-escalation techniques, all of that sort of stuff for the second prong of the course. And the third prong of the course is going to be focused on using firearms as tools. So we're going to be partnering, hopefully, still got to confirm this, and I might be speaking out of school, but hopefully we'll be joining forces with Project Maple Seed. So people in the course will go through a Project Maple Seed course and learn the fundamentals of shooting a rifle. And centered around the idea of, do you hunt, but you're a shitty shot? You're not making ethical shots. Or do you want to hunt and you don't know how to get into it, and you don't know the first thing about a rifle to get into it? Do you live in a rural area and predator control is a thing, but again, you're not confident with your firearm? Do you like to go camping into the middle of nowhere where there are dangerous things? For example, up in the Yukon where there's 250,000 bears, and again, you don't know. Or your ex-wife, you don't know what to do. Or are you in the mountains of Montana and mountain lions are a thing, So the third prong will be focused on that. It'll be firearms as tools. And the objective of the course is just to, increase self-reliance and self-preparedness, not to the point of prepping. It's not really based on that. Like, no one's going to be showing you how to build a cistern for water in your basement or showing you how to store Mylar dry goods for 10 years or anything like that. It's all going to be skills based on, things that are very likely, or not likely, but things that could very well occur to the average person, even if there isn't some sort of societal collapse, right? We all drive on the highway in a February blizzard, like everybody's done it, right? So it's just all that kind of stuff. So again, if anyone's interested in that stuff, then you can email the show to get in touch, and I'll send you guys a link for registration. Again, the email info at bspodcast.ca. And Carly, I appreciate the offer. I'll get in touch with you if you want to share that around on your blog. That would be fantastic. And hey, thanks Jeff and Kris for sitting through my sales pitch that has nothing to do with you guys.
I just want to give a big shout out to Colton with Prairie Precision Steel. The guy's just a beauty through and through. He's helped Jeff and I out over the years, and he's done so much for the sport and done so much for us. So I want to give a big shout out to him because I own beers and he's just an absolute beaut.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And, a couple other people we need to thank. Obviously, you guys for having us on. Greatly appreciated. The owners of Defiance Machine, we got to meet them in Montana and chat with them. They're super awesome. They invited us to come to the shop in Kalispell next time we're through there.
Cool.
Seth McAlley for putting on this, the match director for putting on this match. He did
great
amazing
Did it on
job.
his birthday too.
Yeah, his birthday weekend.
Oh wow!
All the ROs and staff of Defiance Machine that were working as ROs and different staff through the day there. Obviously, Sig Sauer, they're the title sponsor for NRL Hunter 2022. We got to take home a couple of sweet prizes from Sig for winning this match. And then props to Chase Beckley, another Canadian, young Canadian kid, brought home the top junior trophy back north of the border. So we had more hard work.
And it's a second win, and he's going to Idaho. So good luck for him for sure.
Oh wow, awesome!
He actually was beating his dad day one, and then they tied. But Chase had beat his dad on power factor. So
obviously, thank Kris. He shot well. Couldn't have done it without him. The gear ran pretty flawless.
Nice.
Carly and Vanya and the crew at Apex Optics for believing in us.
Yep.
And obviously my beautiful bride again for nursing me back to health and letting me go on these crazy adventures and get to the range and practice every now and then. So
and Sean for getting our barrels done so quick and Badlands Precision for getting them cut to, like, he was under the gun and he did it both for us in a week and delivered them to us. So that was great.
And there's a million others.
Awesome.
Sorry for forgetting Brent Webster. Thanks, dude.
Yeah,
keeping us stocked in pews and it's all good. It's good times.
It's been a ride and we're just getting started. So
that is awesome, man.
Well, Jeff, make sure next time that you order your salad without the E. coli, okay?
Right. Meat and potatoes from now on, boys.
Don't put this burger down here that smells of grease and order a salad. That's probably the least thing you could do. That salad could have been there for a long time. But the burger was fantastic. Even Frank, he's like, I'm ordering this Widowmaker. I'm like, what is that? He's like, it's got jalapenos, habaneros, ghost pepper bacon sauce. And he's eating it and he's red. His eyes are bloodshot. And he's like, this is awesome burger. And I'm thinking, he's like, this looks like it hurts.
Can you imagine the conversation in the kitchen though after Jeff ordered that salad? They went back to this. So this guy's having the burger and the salad, and they're like, the what now? The salad?
Now? Right.
we still have that?
Yeah. Y'all ain't from around here, are you?
We did get to see. We got to talk to the SIG rep after the match. Boys, we got the in hand, got the SIG 10Ks in hand, got to play with them. He gave us a demo on them. Dude, they're
next level.
They're so fast.
Yeah.
The information in the heads-up display is so much. It's clear. It's crisp. I can't wait for those to hit north of the border. My SIG 3Ks will be being sold down the road, and I'll be wanting to add a 10K to the.
I'll be getting a 10K as soon as they're available. They're
next level.
Unbelievable.
Awesome.
SIG's doing amazing things. It's really good, really cool.
Cool. Well, that's about gonna do it for us for tonight, guys. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us, all of our listeners. Without you guys, we're just a group of idiots yelling across the internet at each other. If you haven't already, make sure you hit a thumbs up or a like or a heart or something or another, depending on whatever platform you're on there. Again, big thank you to all of our sponsors. As much as our listeners are important, our sponsors are important too, because again, without them, we can't even be a couple of idiots yelling at each other across the internet. So word. And Carly says, thanks for wrapping up before puck drop. Go Flames, go. I couldn't. I'm sorry, Carly. I just don't care about hockey. But I'm happy that you're happy, and it's a happy coincidence, and go Flames, go, I guess. Jeff, Kris, thanks for coming on, guys. It was really awesome hearing about your match. It was really great.
Good to see you.
I'm glad you guys had a good time, and I'm looking forward to hearing about a bunch more of your guys' adventures in the future.
Well, we'll have to get together for some drinks at SAP RL and the Cactus Cup.
Yeah, we got to do that for sure. 100%.
Right on.
All right, Kurt, am I Jesus.
Well, I'm
you think that like new show, new professionalism, but no, we're not ready to go.
Are we playing the same one?
Yeah,
since
we're playing
we have
the same
no
one.
other.
Because since we have no other one. Okay.
All right. In 3, 2. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
This right here has the ability with a 30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, ballistically speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.